Well, hello there. How are you doing today? Oh, well, that's the wrong button. I wanted to do this button. This is Sophia. She's on one of my latest playthroughs, but she is a character that I'm currently playing with other people. But the problem was that I was kind of running ahead, so now if you can see down there, I have I have a lot of runes from running around, and like we're kind of in this area here, but I've run all the way up here, and I've gone all over the place. Oh man, and it killed a couple bosses that I didn't really think we were going to deal with. I got the stone smithing bell so that I can upgrade my stuff. The first one when you go through the Raya crystal tunnels. But anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about today. That's just a little bit of background. I just thought it was kind of funny when I logged into this character. I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize I had that many just spare runes on me. But today we're going to talk about something that I personally find rather interesting, and that is the longing for God. You know, one of the things that's very interesting if you what I've noticed in going from conventional religions to more of a mystical path is that one of the big things is like really the emphasis of the longing for God, really the desire to really like meet with God and really love God, and you know like it's not about like going to heaven or anything like that. It's much more about that there's like this longing for like the truth and like understanding and like the divine. And some people experience the divine as like a longing for truth and like stability, or like truth and like justice and things like that. But there's a very strong feeling of like trying to approach the divine, and I have some stuff that I wanted to talk about in regards to that I thought was interesting. And there's a dragon. Watch him flip his little tail around. Isn't it cute? I mean, he'd be a little less cute if I was up close, just because he's kind of scary. But it's okay. I still love him. But I'm gonna love him from a distance. But this first one is from Sri Ramakrishna, and if you're wondering, Sri basically just means like holy. And when we say like Sri Ramakrishna, basically we're kind of like calling Ramakrishna God. And it's interesting because the longer I've thought about this, the more and more I've become comfortable with the idea of Ramakrishna being an avatara, which is kind of interesting because at first, when I first kind of came to more like an Advaita Vedanta type path and first started embracing mysticism, I wasn't super big on the idea of like avatars. I thought maybe these were enlightened individuals. I don't know. I've become more and more comfortable with the idea of him being an actual like avatar of God, an actual incarnation of God. Anyway, but this is from Ramakrishna. Can you weep for him with intense longing of the heart? Men shed a jugful of tears for the sake of their children, for their wives, or for money. But who weeps for God? So long as a child remains engrossed with its toys, the mother looks after her cooking and other household duties. But when the child no longer relishes the toys, it throws them aside and yells for its mother. Then the mother takes the rice pot down from the hearth, runs in haste, and takes the child up in her arms. And something that's interesting about this, just this quote I found is very true for me personally. Like, I found that the more I like called out for God, and the more I tried to, bring God into my life, and the more I was like trying to do things for God, and just like just not like for religious sakes, but just truly like calling out for God, the more like I've encountered God, and the more it's just become a part of my life, and it's very amazing to see. And I mean, honestly, I've seen some crazy stuff. I've had some crazy little visions. I've had these moments of like sheer ecstasy. I've had this wonderful thing. And Ramakrishna is very right here. Like, when you put down the things of this world, when you and I'm not necessarily saying that you have to be completely separate from this world, but the way I've done it, and the way that Swami Vivekananda and others have said that you should do, is divinize your interactions with this world. Do everything you do, but do it for God, and it just takes on a whole new meaning. And I've really found that this longing has been met with just like a sweetness. Like, the longing itself is sweet. It is like sweeter than participating and running around in the world, and it's very interesting. And I've been reading a lot of Rumi lately, and this is a famous Rumi thing, and I'm gonna butcher it because I'm not gonna sing it in like the poetry type way. I'm just gonna read it. But this is called the Song of the Reed, and it's a very well-known bit of Rumi poetry. And Rumi, in case you don't know, he was a mystic Persian, and he was 10th century. I'm getting my centuries wrong. I can't remember what exact century, but he wrote a lot of things that are about loving and longing for God, and this is the Song of the Reed. Listen to the story told by the reed of being separated. Since I was cut from the reed bed, I have made this crying sound. Anyone apart from someone he loves understands what I say. Anyone pulled from a source longs to go back. At any gathering, I am there, mingling in the laughing and the grieving. A friend to each, but few will hear the secrets hidden within the notes. No ear for the body flowing out of spirit. Oh, I'm sorry, wait. With the notes, no ears for that. Body flowing out of spirit, spirit up from body, no concealing that mixing, but it's not given us. To see the soul, the reed flute is fire, not wind, be that empty. Hear the love fire tangled in the reed notes as bewilderment. As bewilderment melts into wine, the reed is a friend to all who want the fabric torn and drawn away. The reed is hurt and salve combining intimacy and longing for intimacy. One song, a disastrous surrender, and a fine love together. The one who secretly hears this is senseless. A tongue has one customer, the ear. A sugarcane flute has such effect because it is able to make sugar in the reed bed. The sound it makes is for everyone. Days full of wanting, let them go by without worrying that they do. Sorry, it was kind of broken up weird there. Stay where you are inside such a pure, hollow note. Every thirst gets satisfied except that of these fishes, the mystics, who swim a vast ocean of grace, still somehow longing for it. No one lives in that without being nourished every day, but if someone doesn't want to hear the song of the reed flute, it's best to cut conversation short, say goodbye, and leave. And I do find this very interesting. Every thirst gets satisfied except of these fish, the mystics, who swim in a vast ocean of grace, still somehow longing for it. And it's amazing how true that really is. Like you'll find the embrace of God, and you'll not want to give it up. Like you'll be like, oh yes, this is what I was going for. But the thing about that is, and you'd think, oh well, I've met my goal, but it's like no, it's the goal is just beginning. Even when you're immersed in some of this grace, you still want more. And there's in I believe it's the Council of Birds. I'm gonna misremember what it's actually called. I think it's the Council of Birds. But there's this whole little side story where they're talking about like these moths. There's these moths, and there's this grand kind of like moth master, I guess. But the moths keep saying that they've seen flame or that they've seen light, and each of them goes out, and one goes out and they see it, and then they come back. One goes out and they get kind of like partially burnt with it, but then they come back. And then there's one that goes in and they just go straight into the candlelight and just burn. And they say that that's like the idea of the mystic, is that they go into God, truly. And I also like this, just this kind of a random thing from one of the Guru Nanak stories. Guru Nanak, being the founder of Sikhism. Yes, gladly, I am always ready to pray to God. And this is from Meister Eckhart. God wants nothing from you but the gift of a peaceful heart. And, I find all these guys very interesting because one of the things that I really like about Meister Eckhart keeps talking about emptying out, like, your heart so that there's nothing else inside of it except for like the want and the desire for God. You have to empty your heart so that God can fill your heart, and like like in the silence you find God, and in the quiet you find God, but and in your own self you find God, in this mystical understanding. The blessings of God come, and just like this love, this love of the creator and this divine peace. It's so very difficult to explain. See, that's part of the problem too, is that I can say all these words, but it's not the same as if you were experiencing it. But there's this need, there's this desire to like run forward and share and shout from the rooftops and be like, there's this experience, I've seen God. I can tell you about God. I can tell you about, like, and not in the full detail, but I can share and say, hey, there's something here, you know, for us if we really strive after it, and it's just so beautiful, and yet like you only catch glimpses because you can only share so much, and like but the thing that is very obvious to me and becomes obvious each time is like the longing for God has to be there to get this, like these truly immaculate. Oh, will you stay and be my friend? No. Okay. I hope you both have a wonderful day. But like you can really feel that longing. And as you grow in this longing, like I said, that's such a great way to describe it. Just like these mystics who are fish, they never get tired of going into that water that is the grace of the presence of God, and the grace of that love, and trying to share it and running after it. You know, it, it's just so much. There's so much to it, and then I sometimes meet people who say they long for God, or they say that they long for righteousness, and it's just like, well, obviously you can never know, like what's really in someone's heart. But I felt I've met a lot of people who tell me that they love Christ, for instance. But then you sit down and you go, do you really love Christ, or do you like telling people you love Christ? And obviously you can't really judge what another person goes through and what their relationship with God and all this other stuff, what it's really like. You don't know, and it's not really up to you. But sometimes I do get the impression that there are some people out there who think they love God, but I listen to them talk. It kind of sounds like they love something. It gets very difficult. Like I said, I don't really want to judge. It's just sometimes I get the impression there's a lot of folks out there who want to talk big game, but then, like, you tell them, okay, then pray and meditate, then really pray and meditate, then shut off the world, stop worrying so much about like these little things around you. And yes, I understand there's a lot of that stuff, but like if you really give yourself over to God, a lot of that little stuff, especially if you do it sincerely, it just doesn't stick around in the same way. And I'm not saying you'll never have problems again or anything like that, or that it will come immediately, but there is definitely something. It's amazing to me how often it just helps to just give oneself over to the divine. And I have another verse here that I'm going to share, and this is from the book of Gita, and this is chapter 12, verses 6 and 7. But those who dedicate all their actions to me, regarding me as the supreme goal, worshiping me and meditating on me with exclusive devotion, O Parth, I swiftly deliver them from the ocean of birth and death, for their consciousness is united with me. And it's very interesting because God really will help you out quite a bit here. Now here's the question: this guy is always not a lot of fun. Ooh, interrupting me, sir. I long after God, not after your runes. Wait. Hey, sir, could you do most of the fighting here for me? I'm trying to talk about longing for God and stuff like this, and this guy just... Oh, jeez. And this guy just keeps... Or at least distract him long enough for me to heal, please and thank you. You desire God, right, Mr. Hatman? uh, there we go. Thank you. Now I can get back to this. But yeah, no, like, you know, meditating on God and really giving yourself over to God is it's incredibly blissful. And I found that the more I've studied the Bhagavad Gita and the more I've studied, like, you know, the mystics like Meister Eckhart and Rumi and all these other figures, I find that this is really very true. That they have a lot to say. Like, you know, like you could read you know, like the Quran, or you could read the Bible and stuff like that. And there's useful stuff in there, but like I find that a lot of times just going back to the poetry of the mystics is like the most rewarding for me personally. And this is a couple other quotes from Rumi. I looked for God. I went to a temple and I didn't find him there. Then I went to a church and I didn't find him there. Then I went to a mosque and I didn't find him there. Then finally I looked in my heart and there he was. This is another one. If in thirst you drink water from a cup, you see God in it. Those who are not in love with God will only see their faces in the water. I But you know, like really and truly, like the love of God. And you know, the thing that's funny too is like I find that the more I love God, the more it's very difficult to really you know, have anything against other people and the people around us. I mean, it's not impossible, and I still have work to do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm perfect, obviously, but it is very interesting to see that it helps a lot, and it can really kind of transform a lot of your little quibbles into something much much grander. And I would really invite everyone who thinks that they desire God to really like sit and like reflect and meditate and go and really go for like the mystics and like, you know, and sometimes, you know, a really great practice is to just find a place where you can just be completely by yourself for a little bit and just really dwell and try to dwell in the presence of God. And sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it comes naturally, and sometimes it takes a while. But you know, longing for God is really um, it's just a really beautiful thing, and it's sweeter than nectar, man. It's sweeter than nectar. I pray that Ma Kali blesses all of you, and even if you don't believe in God, I pray that you find relief and happiness in your heart. I pray that everyone who sees this video and everyone on the earth, really, I pray that we all have a better life and that we all have a day where we can at least smile at least once a day and, you know, something nice like that. And even in the darkest circumstances, remember that there is still light. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks very much for stopping by. Bye bye.